18th, 2024. There it is, Bush. Here we are. Yesterday we reported that, or 2 days ago, anyway, the Biden administration had opened the door to long-range missiles, more advanced systems. So what is it about this that makes it so different? Basically, folks, what makes this so different is these, to be used, they have to have the fingerprints of the Americans on there, some way, some way. The guidance, the analysis, the geospatial aspects of all this is all done through Americans and NATO and Western tech and intelligence. So what makes this so different is it's not the length of them. I mean, they're going 300 to 500 kilometers, which, you know, is longer, but it's not like they can go for thousands of kilometers. But what makes it so different is to use them properly and to hit places, high value targets. You need that information, that intelligence, the geospatial info that only the West can give for this. So that is the problem. That's why it is such a big deal. And that's why the Russians are quite angry. So we are going to be talking about that. The Russians have changed their nuclear doctrine. And now a party to war with them who is aided by a nuclear-powered party to the war, it opens the door for the use of nuclear weapons. So that doctrine is all changed, and things are moving pretty quickly with all of this. And it's just generally going in a bad direction. It's not going in a good direction. My daughter came in tonight as I'm tabulating and just kind of said, "What you doing?" And I told her I am doing my thing for my vlog. And I said, the Ukraine war is still going on. And she said, "It's still going on?" I said, "Yeah, it's still going on." She said, "Wow, it's almost been like 3 years." I said, "Yeah, we're coming up on 3 years in February." And it is. It's interesting that it's just sustaining in this way. And now actually, by many people's accounts, it is getting worse. So we are going to cover all of it as we do this here in the most comprehensive news on YouTube. At least I think it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know too many channels out there that are putting together all of this information in one place for the low price of a subscribership and a nightly visit at about 10:30, 10:45. I'm kind of tired, so I thought I'll come on and I'll do this real quick and get this out of the way. But we're going to cover it all. We're going to tell you everything about it, and you will have a nice full view of all kinds of stuff, not just in the SMO of Russia versus Ukraine, but also in the Middle East and beyond. So on that note, we're going to start off with the 1,000th day of war in Ukraine. That is today, at least it was. It marked the 1,000th day of war since February 24th, 2022, when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Russian invasion began under the guise of a special military operation. It then escalated into one of the deadliest conflicts in Europe since World War II, causing immense human suffering and thousands of casualties on both sides. So that is where we are right now, and it's not getting better. Russia attacked with U.S.-made long-range missiles. That was the big story today, and we'll be covering a lot of it. Figure Robotics says it has autonomous fleets of robots here. 5 unidentified large drones have been flying unauthorized for over 2 hours in Morris County, New Jersey, and are being monitored by an Army Black Hawk helicopter. This is reported by multiple channels. Kind of daunting, if you will, with all that's going on. Ukraine launched 6 U.S. long-range missiles to strike targets within Russia. Now, I've been calling them the ATACMSs for quite some time. I didn't know that you could call them the Atacms or whatever. I'm a history guy. I'm not a military guy. So my lens comes from the maneuvering of humans from before and a little bit of psychology and everything else. So it's not tactical as it pertains to military movements and stuff. I mean, I understand some of them. You know, I like a good pincer movement, but this is all different. It's all escalating. Russia says Ukraine attacked its using U.S.-made missiles and signals it's ready for a nuclear response. Russia is now openly warning that this attack could mark the start of World War III, threatening to retaliate with weapons of mass destruction against Ukraine and NATO facilities, regardless of their location. Russia has begun mass production of mobile bomb shelters capable of withstanding nuclear shock waves, radiation, and conventional attacks, providing protection for up to 48 hours. These things are pretty cool. Basically, these big metal boxes. You climb in, you survive, and you get out, and you start growing food, hopefully. Putin signed a decree allowing broader use of nuclear weapons. Putin says he must not get his way in Ukraine, according to NATO chief, so they don't want him to win. Russia's Medvedev says Russia's new nuclear doctrine means NATO missiles fired against our country could be deemed an attack by the bloc on Russia. Russia could retaliate with weapons of mass destruction against Kiev and key NATO facilities wherever they're located. That means World War III. Ukraine has fired U.S.-made long-range missiles into Russia's Bryansk region, according to Russian state media. Russia says Ukraine attacked it using United States-made missiles and it signals it's ready for nuclear weapons or a nuclear response. That is CNBC. Russia says Ukraine firing long-range missiles proves the West and Ukraine want escalation. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile over 32 times the 2015 deal limit, according to IAEA. An unidentified hacker has gained access to a computer file shared in a secure link amongst lawyers whose clients have given damaging testimony relating to Matt Gaetz, former Florida congressman who is a President-elect Trump's choice to be Attorney General, according to the New York Times. President-elect Trump is likely to nominate Cantor Fitzgerald CEO Howard Lutnick as Secretary of Commerce. He got Dr. Oz in there today. I forget exactly where he's at, but the good doctor will be joining the Trump administration. Defense ministers of Sweden and Lithuania said Tuesday they were deeply concerned by the severing of an undersea telecom cable connecting the countries, which is being investigated as sabotage. At least 5 large unidentified UAVs have been flying over Morris County, New Jersey, for 2 hours, caused alerts amongst emergency teams who were deployed to monitor these objects. Russia, the 67th Arsenal of the BCGRAU, Main Missile and Artillery Directorate, on the territory of the military base in Karachev, Bryansk region of Russia, was attacked tonight, November 19th. Fire and detonation have been reported on the arsenal. For the first time, serial production of a mobile shelter that provides protection, including during a nuclear explosion, has been launched. Package includes 2 modules, a room for 54 people, and technical block. The capacity can be increased with more modules. They're like little Legos looking things. Russia. Putin approved the principles of the Russian state policy in the field of nuclear deterrence. Chinese cargo ship Yinfang 3 was present in the Baltic Sea after reports came out of serious damage on strategic undersea communication cable. Yinfang 3 ship passed BSC at November 17th, 0800. Cargo ship was 2 nautical miles from Sea Lion, November 17th at 02047. It's 204. She made a very odd 70-minute maneuver a few hours later. Suspect Chinese ship is leaving the Baltics as we speak. Danish Femern Island next. A Danish Partol boat is closing in as well as at high speed into the Yingpeng 3 this morning. So there are people saying that boat had something to do with all this. Donald Trump says he wants to immediately stop the war in Ukraine and make peace. The SVO, or Special Military Operation in Ukraine, will continue until the set goals are achieved. Kremlin spokesperson Peskov on the 1,000th day from the start of the SVO. Seems Putin is not interested, but in Trump's attempt to find a way out of the spilling escalation between East and West. Russia, the use of Western non-nuclear missiles by the Ukrainian armed forces against the Russian Federation under the new doctrine could lead to a nuclear response, according to Kremlin spokesperson Peskov. Ukraine directly already used Atacms against Russia, considered as reason by Moscow for launching nuclear strikes. Ukrainian armed forces, together with other units of the defense forces, destroyed overnight the arsenal of the 1046th supply center of the Russian army near the city of Karachev, which is approximately 130 kilometers from Ukraine. Reference RBC Ukraine, citing an informed source in the defense forces. Secretary General says, Cosmic Sky, thank you so much. NATO Secretary General says West should not impose restrictions on weapons supply to Kiev. Europe needs to be prepared to send troops to Ukraine, says Estonian Foreign Minister Shashkina. Such a step will be necessary within the framework of any peace agreement that Moscow and Kiev can conclude with the participation of Donald Trump. Head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs noted the Estonian minister named Ukraine's membership in NATO as the best guarantee of security. Mass media writes the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Brian Nichols confirmed Biden's permission to strike Russia with long-range missiles. Ukrainian army for the first time struck Russia with a U.S.-delivered Atacms overnight near the Russian city of Karachev, where the arsenal of the 1046th Supply Center of the Army is located, just as Putin changed the rules for launching nuclear strikes in such a case. Ukraine plans to destroy Crimean Bridge after Biden authorizes the Atacms missile strikes, according to Global Defense Corp. That is now very possible. Russian Defense Ministry says Ukraine hit Russia with Atacms missiles. R.A. Novosti. Russian Defense Ministry says Ukraine used Atacms missiles on target inside Russia after Putin changed the country's nuclear doctrine, allowing them to strike back with nukes, according to Sky News. The war is not against Ukraine anymore, but the war is between Russia and NATO, Putin's spokesperson of the Kremlin said. It's Peskov. Allowing Ukraine to launch Atacms missiles at Russia is leading to escalation, future White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. And this, is another step towards escalation, and no one knows where it will lead. North Korea is transferring ballistic missiles, artillery, and now tens of thousands of soldiers. Joe Biden administration is responding by lifting restrictions. North Korea is sending even more soldiers And South Korea is saying it can also take part in the war, according to Fox News. Canada supports the United States' decision to allow Kiev to use long-range missiles against Russia, according to their defense minister, William Blair. Of course they do. They love it. Danish Navy ships are converging on the Chinese vessel in suspect of cutting communication cables right now. Russia will perceive the launches of long-range missile controlled by United States military experts as qualitatively new phase of the war on the part of the West, according to their foreign minister. Russia today declared war on NATO. Respectfully, all members, countries, which could be considered as the official start of World War III. Kremlin spokesperson Peskov said, when all this started, it started against the Kiev regime, and now it's continuing as a war between Russia and NATO. That is why it took a little longer and will continue for a little longer, he told Indian news agency ANI. Iranian Foreign Minister Atacms, in response to Israeli aggression, we will carry out Operation True Promise 3 at the appropriate time. Qatari Foreign Ministry spokesman says Hamas leaders are not in Doha at the moment and that Doha is ready to resume negotiations if there is seriousness from both parties. Yemen's Ansar Allah have announced that they carried out an operation targeting the ship Anadolu 5 in the Red Sea with a number of ballistic missiles achieving direct hits. Iran's estimated stockpile of 60% enriched uranium near weapons grade has reached 182.3 kilograms, an increase of 17.6 kilograms since August and more than 32 times the limit set by the 2015 nuclear deal, according to an IAEA report. And that IAEA confirms that Iran has taken preparatory steps to decrease its output of 60% enriched uranium. While European countries mobilize to defeat Russia, the United States is deploying the USS George Washington to Japan to combat China. Russia updates its nuclear doctrine following Putin's decree. Well, what does that look like? Well, we have that right here. That's why you come to the most comprehensive news on YouTube. Russia's updated nuclear doctrine states the aggression against its allies by a non-nuclear state supported by a nuclear one will be treated as a joint attack. Doctrine emphasizes Russia's readiness to use nuclear weapons to ensure deterrence and permits their use if the sovereignty or territorial integrity of Russia or Belarus is critically threatened. Ballistic missile launches against Russia are listed as grounds for nuclear retaliation, and the doctrine identifies our adversaries against whom nuclear deterrence is exercised. Providing territory or resources for aggression against Russia is also considered a basis for nuclear deterrence. Farmer strikes have started. Many cities and roads are being blocked. Many actions in front of prefectures and public buildings. They oppose the Mercosur deal, not trusting Macron on his refusal of current plan. They want to be able to live from their work, stop being confronted with unfair competition by the EU regulations. They want to not starve or they'll take down everyone with them. There are talks going up to Paris, and there are talks again of sieging Paris's food supply, with some farmers hinting Paris can't live without supply for more than 5 days. We will do what we need if we are cornered. China is going to tighten its export curbs on critical metals ahead of Trump's return. Tungsten, magnesium, and aluminum alloys face more restrictions. Here we go. Donald Trump is set to recognize Somaliland as an independent country, according to The Independent. U.S. sees no need to change the readiness of its nuclear forces in response to changes in Russian nuclear doctrine. North American Aerospace Defense Command, also known as NORAD, aircraft are conducting planned live fly air exercises in support of Operation Noble Eagle near Riverdale, California today. NORAD F-16s and Civil Air Patrol general aviation aircraft will participate in the exercise and will likely be visible to the public. Iran will activate a large number of new advanced centrifuges for uranium enrichment in response to the West's escalatory actions, according to Iranian Observer. According to the IAEA report, Iran's suspected stockpile of highly enriched uranium has reached 182.3 kilograms, up 17.6 kilograms from August and more than 32 times the limit set by the 2015 nuclear deal. Russia's dead hand system can launch a nuclear strike even if all of their leaders are eliminated. If no response is detected, it assumes command is gone and fires 4,000 nuclear missiles at the U.S. and NATO. New U.S. Navy naval asset USS Cole DDG-67 from the U.S. CENTCOM arrived in the Middle East ahead of major military escalation between Israel and Iran. Unusual transport of military reinforcements for Ukraine has been reported in Lokabani, central Romania. A train with U.S.-made Bradley infantry fighting vehicles heading to Ukraine as tensions continue to rise over the issue of World War III. U.S. Navy carrier USS Abraham Lincoln left Middle East after Yemen's Ansarullah movement have targeted the aircraft carrier with missiles and drones earlier this month in the Arabian Sea. Belgorod region is under massive attack by UAVs. Military-related enterprises are attacked. Air defense was working. Aldisivka, Belgorod, Russia, all being hit. At least 45 Ukrainian UAVs are currently attacking Russian territory, Russian channels said. Biden approves anti-personnel mines for Ukraine, as if the Atacms were not enough, undoing his own policy. President Joe has authorized the provisions of anti-personnel landmines to Ukraine, two U.S. officials said, a step that will bolster Kiev's defenses against advancing Russian troops, but has drawn criticism from arms control groups. Speaking to the European Parliament via video, Ukrainian President Zelensky marked 1,000 days of Russia's invasion. Putin cares only about money and power, not people or rules. We must take that away to restore peace. He urged calling for increased pressure on Russia. He was met with standing ovations by most attending members of the parliament. Yedioth Ahronoth, citing informed sources, says that there are no real negotiations over the hostages and everything regarding negotiation efforts is falling apart. Netanyahu and Katz rejected the negotiating team's proposal for the hostage deal in a meeting this week. Officials in charge of the hostage file of Karaj army requested more space and leeway for negotiations. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. Israeli jets launched airstrikes on the city of Al-Qiyam in Lebanon, coinciding with artillery shelling targets the area. Hezbollah stronghold is going to fall soon, according to Amir Sarfati. International Atomic Energy Agency says Iran is just a short technical step away from weapons-grade uranium. In order to destroy the Iranian nuclear facilities, we would need help from the U.S. with strategic bombers, and you better believe we're going to be right by your side, buddy. The depth of the facilities and the way they were hidden inside mountains require much more than was F-15 and F-35 squadrons can deliver. Biden could have ended his term with his name written in history as the one who removed that threat to world peace. Instead, he will be remembered as the enabler of Iran and sustainer of its nuclear program. All right. The U.S. Department of Defense cannot confirm the participation of North Korean troops in military operations in Ukraine or their presence in the Kursk region, said Pentagon Deputy Spokesperson Sabrina Singh. United States has notified South Korea of its decision to use the missiles against Russia, Yonhap has said. South Korean side was only notified because the issue does not require the direct participation of the Republic of Korea. United States has notified South Korea of its decision to use its missiles against Russia, according to Yonhap. South Korean side was only notified because this time does not require the direct participation of the Republic of Korea, agency source said. NATO countries preparing populations for war. We covered this over on PrepperNow. Several Nordic countries published information advising their populations on how to prepare for a possible war on other unexpected crises. Multiple media outlets have reported. So, get your butt in gear. Russia, an industrial enterprise in the Voronezh region, was attacked by several drones. According to the head of the region, Alexander Gusev, more than 5 UAVs attacked the industrial enterprise, produces exclusively civilian products in one of the area districts of the Voronezh region. A fire broke out according to preliminary information. Atacms missile strike on the Bryansk region today was carried out by the supervision of U.S. Armed Forces specialists from the HIMARS MLRS cruise. Real-time target designation was provided by NATO reconnaissance satellites, Russian TG channel wrote. After the attack on the mayonnaise plant in Voronezh, the Ukrainian armed forces, yes, there was an attack on a mayonnaise plant, struck a yogurt factory. It's not a good day to be rich and creamy. Near Belgorod, in the city of ODYSEE, a result of falling debris from a UAV, production facilities were damaged in the territory of one of the enterprises. U.S. will continue to provide Kiev with intelligence data for conducting military operations against Russia. This was confirmed by the head of the State Department press service, Miller, commenting on Lavrov's statements about the direct participation of Americans is striking Russian territory. Reuters reports that Lukoil, all right, here's a fun name, Nizhgorodneftegesensk, is one of the largest Russian refineries, fourth place, 17 million tons a year. And it's been disabled indefinitely after an attack by a UAV. So, Russia, Ukrainian UAVs are trying to break through in the direction of the Moscow region. Many U.S. military personnel directly involved attacking Russia today with ATACMS. Just how things are operated, which is clear act of war. I believe this is Scott Ritter. So this is Scott Ritter's take on all this. It's just the way it is. Guidance system, the data that goes in is developed by a special Department of Defense activity in Europe that does targeting for guidance systems like this. It's done by Americans only, analysts, geospatial analysts. It is communicated from this site to a downlink station in Ukraine, and it's manned by the United States. Classified communication, so it's using National Security Agency cryptology, which only means Americans can touch it, Ukrainians cannot touch it. Data is downloaded there, and then the load to load it. They do it. And then to load it up, and on the ATACMS again. So I guess they load it onto the missile system. It is a link that involves cryptology. Only Americans can do it. So the mission is to be planned by the United States. Data is loaded for the missile. And when the button is fired, the Russians will say, fired by the United States against Russia, an act of war. IDF was shocked by Hezbollah's arsenal of Russian weapons during their invasion of southern Lebanon. Hezbollah's arsenal included modern Kornet and anti-tank missiles manufactured as recently as 2020, along with Soviet-era weapons from the 1990s. 1970s. I need glasses, folks. Weapons are believed to have been sent from Russian stockpiles in Syria. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Šakana. The European Union should be ready to deploy troops to Ukraine to deter Russian aggression after Trump agrees his peace deal in Ukraine, if that peace deal does not involve Ukraine becoming a NATO member. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen. Denmark has already transferred F-16 fighters to Ukraine, and 13 more will be delivered in the future. Netanyahu promised $5 million to anyone who brings at least one hostage from the Gaza Strip home. And the SMO, the Russian Federation, has updated its nuclear doctrine. Now Russia has the right to strike any country that is an ally or an aggressor country. Cauldron, south of Kharkov, begins to close. The Russians achieve far-reaching territorial gains around the village of Yupanivka. The Russians were also able to conquer position in Yelazyov. The situation north of Kharkov is just as critical. In Beretsky, the Russians continue to advance, and the village of Novoselivka is now also under Russian control. In Toretsk, Russians are attacking from all directions, especially in the directions of the mines. The mine is the Ukrainian strongest defensive position, and without it, Toretsk is in great danger of falling. Same situation in Chasiv Yar, where the Russians are currently storming the industrial area. There's also been movement in the north toward the hill, north of the Pavidnitchia district. So there you go. Denmark will allocate $138 million for the development of the Ukrainian defense industry, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said. United States is going to provide $100 million of military aid to Ukraine, including equipment and services for vehicle modernization and training. German defense minister announced its defense companies to prepare for any kind of war. And finally, Russian media says that the army plans to carry out large-scale missile strikes on Ukraine before Christmas. Ouch. It is said that these strikes will be carried out using heavy missiles and bombers. That, my friends, is your crisis report for November 19th, 2024. Please consider becoming a member. It is $2 a month, or hit the bell, get the notifications, that kind of thing. Or join me on Substack, where this entire transcript is, PrepperNow.substack.com. And then there's numerous other places as well. We would love to have you all over. So here we are, folks. Kind of at a bit of a threshold to the next step. So we shall see. But in the meantime, stack, stock, stick to the plan. Keep your hand on the swivel when your powder dry. And I appreciate you coming by. The Crisis Report by PrepperNow. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.